in the Dropbox links. There's a Dropbox link there for you.
Oh, here we go. Now I have to click on this Dropbox link. Amazing. All right, everybody, welcome to the Mark Ripito weekly fan club meeting for Marxist libertarians. This week we are talking about hip height in the deadlift. I have two guests with me today. I have Chase Lindley and Mick Zuckerberg. Chase, who are you? Why are you here? What would you like to talk about today?
So my name is Chase. I am a starting strength coach. I've been a starting strength coach for like 3-ish years now, maybe a little bit more. I am the head coach here in Oklahoma City, and I like barbells.
That's real tight. I like that. It's like, I like barbells. That's what's going on.
I can't follow that.
That's it.
Yeah. How am I supposed to follow that?
Yeah.
I have nothing to contribute.
Well, for the hot rod moment, I like to party.
Okay.
Nice.
And I like to party. All right, bring a stream source in. Everybody, we're trying to add music to this, but the only music I can add from Restream is royalty-free background music. I'm going to start playing down tempo. Let's see if this works. Can anyone hear music?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
It sounds like porn music, to be honest. It really does. Or like a woman getting massaged.
Yeah. That's I think my ideal scenario is this music playing and I just massage people, and before anything starts they just leave. I just do the massage. All right, so we're gonna remove down tempo. That one's too porny, like Mick said. That's correct. I got chill, lounge, hip hop, chill hop, ambient, future pop, and lo-fi. What do you think, Nick? You're the musician.
I don't know what any of those words mean.
All right, we'll go to chill hop then. Chase seemed interested in chill hop.
Yeah, what's chill hop? It sounds like we're about to go. Yeah, it sounds like we're about to go eat at a buffet. Like
this is a little Chinese buffet.
I noticed you got pretty excited when he said buffet, Chase.
I did, yeah. I was just at a buffet yesterday, Korean barbecue. Whew, amazing.
Were they playing this?
They were not. They were playing K-pop, and I got my whole days of calories in, just in that singular meal.
You take a scale?
No, I just know how many calories are in things, man. If I eat, 3 pounds of meat and like 5 bowls of rice, I'm like, I'm good. This is all I need for maximum anabolism.
Do you go for the side dishes, or is that a waste of space?
It's the side dishes are a complete waste of space. Let's try lounge music and see how lounge does.
Oh yeah.
I feel very loungy.
Do you feel like you're lounging?
Oh, I'm very.
It all just sounds like bad 70s porn music to me.
It does. You were there in the 70s.
I know, maybe. Yeah.
You were the filmographer.
Sure I've got this.
You were there.
I've got this on a videotape.
You were the chief cinematographer. Yeah, I don't think we can do music in this show, guys. I just don't think it's going to be a thing.
No, that's terrible.
No, I don't think it's going to be a thing.
Anyway, 3 people watching will have to.
Hey man, we have hundreds of people watching our Marxist libertarian.
How many people are on right now? Let me see if I can rustle up some more from Reddit and Instagram.
We can rustle. We're gonna rustle some people up. Do we have? I haven't even looked at our Instagram. Chase, could you shill our stuff on Instagram?
If y'all tag me, I think I can.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. All right. Let's go back to the thing here. So Chase is the head coach of Starting Strength. Oklahoma or Oklahoma City? What do you guys call it?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. Right. The whole state is Oklahoma. Oklahoma City is a city within the state.
It's basically the only city inside the state. So.
Is Tulsa? Tulsa's another city.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I shouldn't. Yeah.
You got 2 whole cities there, dude.
So you have 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a huge
one of them.
Yeah, it's just true metropolis. Mick did the Starting Strength app and Facebook. I think those are the 2 things that Mick did.
And I control the weather, apparently.
And he controls the weather. He's mostly Chinese. He's half Chinese, half Israeli. I teach people how to fight other dudes. Just men touching men in passionate moments. Those are my sports. Chase and I have been starting strength coaches since 2020. It's 3 years now, Chase. Isn't that crazy?
It has been crazy.
How many years that's been? Fuck me. And I think I started doing this show with you, Mick, around early 2020 as well.
Has it been? Jeez, yeah. I think the first episode was still the most watched episode.
Yeah, it was just me streaming for like a reporter's desk, just like answering a bunch of questions, being like, "Oh, what's going on with these?" That was a lot of views. The Chase one, talking about how big Chase's hot delts are. Speaking of which, Chase, your big delts did something of acclaim recently, right? You pulled 140.
Yep, I snatched 140.
Okay, it was a snatch, everybody. It was not a deadlift. He's deadlifted 140 many times before. We're going to pop this on the screen. Boop. Boop.
Can we get the sound on this?
I don't think, can we? Let's see. Can you guys hear this? The sound is on.
No.
I can't hear it.
He says, heck yeah.
I said
praise Allah. Heck yeah. That's what he said.
Chase, I did not hear that. I did not listen to this with sound. That was very
haven't?
loud. I have not.
Yeah,
I
it was
did
very
now for the first time.
Yeah.
That was very loud. So Chase was being mean to the barbell for some reason afterwards.
Yep.
Is 140? It's an accomplishment in the realm of snatching, right?
I
140
would
is
say
kind of
so.
a milestone.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like the 315, even though it's 308 in pounds, but 140s, it's pretty good because like I don't know. I think people kind of associate like the weights on the bar, and then as you're lifting and stuff like that. So like 140. Actually loaded properly in a weightlifting meet, like it wouldn't look like that, but like 145
because you'd have the clips on, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it kind of looks a little bit more serious, I guess.
Yeah.
But with this one, man, I have attempted 140 like at least 15, 12 times, somewhere around there.
What was the first week that you've attempted 140? How long ago was that in
time? Almost a year ago.
Okay.
This was several months ago. And I mean, my biggest issue is like, again, I'll kind of relax my upper back to where the rack will kind of be just like a millimeter out in front, an inch out in front. And whenever it's heavy like this, I can't just wrangle it back in and stand up with it. Right. So I'll leave it out in front, even though it's high enough to rack. This was actually my second attempt at it. The jumps were, I started at about I warmed up all the way up to about like 120. After 120, I hit 130. Then I tried 135, missed it. I was like, fuck it.
Interesting.
I went to 140 because I was like, if I'm going to miss it, I may as miss something big. Or
I'm going to miss, if I'm going to miss something, exactly. It's going to be 140. Okay.
So then I hit 140, and then I tried 140 again. Missed it the first time, and I was like, fuck, man, like I know I can do this because I had just did this from the blocks the day before.
Right. Okay. How high were the blocks?
It was about like tibial tuberosity. The bar was there, so like it's about the bump
first
on the
pole's almost out of the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I knew I had it. It's just I need to fucking feel the weight, feel the movement pattern, then I can cue it. And then I finally got my head out of my ass on the second one and did it.
Nice. Well, what's the rest period? How long did you take? Did you just like give it like a minute and a half and you were like, fucking, I'm going? Or did you were patient?
I was patient on it because usually I'm like that. I'm like, 2 minutes, let's do it again. 2 minutes, let's do it again. But this one I was like, all right, let's try 5. And that seemed better.
Amazing. The boy did it. He's at 140. Next stop, 200, Chase. That's the next milestone.
Yeah. What's the world record for your weight group?
So the 109?
Yeah, 109.
Fuck, dude. That's probably like 190 or 180, somewhere around there.
Yeah, just look that up, Mick.
So it's like 40 or 50 kilograms more.
Yeah, Jamie, pull that up.
So what's your weight class? 109?
109.
Weightlifting world record.
So you guessed 190, Chase, is your guess?
200.
Yeah, I'm gonna say somewhere around there.
Oh, a whole 200.
Yang Z.
Ooh.
Yang Z,
fucking
everybody.
China,
the clean and jerk is 241. Ruslan Nuridinov.
These guys, true athletes.
That's a Uzbekistan guy. Yeah.
I was going to guess he's not British, but anyway.
I do wish that, like NFL Combine, they kind of have them do like more various athletic tasks, or like, this is the 40, this is the bench press, this is the broad jump, things like that. I wish they did that with the highest end or caliber of Olympic weightlifters. It would be really nice if someone was like, yeah, man, just jump, see how far you can jump.
Just see how freaky they are.
Just to see how freaky they are,
Yeah.
Because most humans do not kind of conceptualize how different they are, and I think it would be nice to have them try some other things.
Oh yeah.
I think I saw some video from, it might have been the 70s or 80s, and it was I think it was the Bulgarian weightlifting team and some of the training they were doing. And they just show these guys just like running and sprinting through the forest and just, jumping over things. And they're all like freaky athletes. Like these dudes are like, they're just
vaulting over trees.
Yeah, they're I mean, wow, but I mean, they're not just fat oafs. they're all like crazy genetic freaks.
Yeah. Someone said something real stupid on the Facebook group the other day. They were like, what if someone can bench 300 pounds but can't do 5 push-ups? Are they really stronger? Fucking piece of goddamn. I wanted to
When has that ever been the case?
Like, who is that? Literally, like, you have to weigh 600 pounds.
Exactly.
If you weighed 600 pounds, so the range of motion would only be like that.
There you go. Yeah, just like someone's like, well, what if the situation was different? Wouldn't it be different? And you're like, yes. Very intellectually astute of you to point that out.
That's why you don't go on Facebook.
I'm
sorry for my poor product.
Messenger so much. It's just the Rolodex. Everybody has Messenger, so I just use Messenger all the time. Chase, you don't use Messenger, do you?
Mm-mm.
Chase, you just remember people's phone numbers most of the time. You just have the contact.
I have.
Do you remember the
contact book? Huh?
Do you have a list on the fridge?
Yeah, exactly.
Top 10 speed dial.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, so for quite some time, I just tried to not save people's phone numbers in my phone as contacts. So I just had like just the raw numbers in there. I did that for like 2 or 3 years. And then eventually got to the point where I was like, this is becoming impractical. When someone messages me, I have to like read the conversation and figure out who it is.
I have a few like that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Why though? Why?
I don't know. I was just like, I don't feel like putting this contact in.
I'm kind of the same way, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that guy had a 17 in his number. That's probably him. And then text.
Is this some sort of like dominance game you're playing with people? Because you're like, who's this again?
No, I didn't save Anastasia's phone number. I didn't save my wife's phone number into the phone as Anastasia until like 6 months in. I texted her all the time.
I think it's just like mine is like one-off conversations that like eventually I have to go back and then follow up with like people who are interested into the gym. I'm like, oh fuck,
yeah.
And then I'm like, oh okay, now I know who you are because you introduced yourself like 5 days ago.
I saved your wife's number in my phone, Alex. So
there you go. That's good. It's an emergency contact. If somebody, I'm a frontline hero. So it's like, if I ever go down on the job, someone needs to be able to contact my emergency contact. All right, so we're going to talk about the primary topic of the show. Everybody is hip height in the deadlift. I've been seeing a lot of the form checks both on the Reddit. I've been having this issue with some of my clients recently. They're just being weenies and fucking it up. And then I would say most of the new clients I have who have been kind of indoctrinated in starting strength material, worked with a starting strength coach previously, sent in a form check in the app, something like that. Their hips are dramatically too high on the deadlift, and they're pushed well behind midfoot. So that's for the people who are like trying to apply the material correctly, and the people who have never been exposed to the material, they're almost always hips way too low. So we have this kind of divide where it's just like after people are exposed to this material, sometimes the hips go too high and they're pushed too far back. Before they're exposed to the material, the hips are entirely too low. So we kind of have to figure out how to dial it in. Because it's like the people who are posting form checks, they can tell something is wrong. So it's like we're not seeing all of the people who just kind of get it and they have their hips in the right spot. The people who are too low or too high, they're posting it because they know they're fucking up. So we got to think about that. But basically, we're gonna talk about hip height in the deadlift. When that subject comes up, what's the first thing that comes to your mind, Chase?
Kind of like what you were saying is like who I've seen kind of have the most issues with this, like guys who are just like really deconditioned. They're gonna always have like a really high hip placement or a really low one, because in those two instances, it's one either very easy for them to set their back, for example, like on the low hip position, or two, it's not stressing the quads as much because now you have your ass up a little bit higher, your knees are almost fully locked out, so you're fine. Kind of being in the correct hip position, both your quads, your back, everything's just fucking screaming with uncomfortableness, and that's what we want.
Yeah, you should be able to. I'm sure, Chase. Let me know who said this, but it was like you can either have the setup be uncomfortable or the pull be uncomfortable. I feel like I've heard that a bunch of times. Do you remember who said that?
I've never heard that.
What?
I swear, I've never heard that.
All right, I feel like I've heard this a million times. When it comes to the correct deadlift setup, you can have the setup feel uncomfortable or the pull itself feel uncomfortable, right? So if you set up poorly, the pull is going to feel like shit. If you set up correctly, the setup is going to feel just difficult to do, And you run into this people who learned it correctly, and then like 3-4 months, there's kind of this slow form creep, and it comes back in, and they'll either go too high or too low, or they'll start jerking the bar off the floor. Benny B, he's a big resident deadlifter. Benny B has pulled what, 6 bills? Was it Ben? Yeah, it was 6 for a high single, I think, and his hip height was great, by the way. Yeah, so there's a lot of factors to consider about why the hip height can go awry in the deadlift. The big ones are kind of the setup distance, the shin angle, the hip height there. Of course, it's like if it is an intentional thing. Sometimes the hip height is intentional. People who think oftentimes hip too low, they'll think actively, I need to get my hips lower. That'll be like an objective. The people who oftentimes put the hips too high, it's more of a misinterpretation of what they're supposed to do. The hips too low people, they'll be like, all right, I need to get that down so I can squat the bar up. I need to get my quads into position to kind of push the bar. That'll be hips too low. And then this will be, I would say, the most interesting one is going to be kind of the knee-elbow relationship, So it's like they have their grip, their hands turned over, their knee, where is it in relationship to kind of their arm and their elbow? That's a really good proxy.
Yeah, I think that's just anthropometry too. So like you'll see different people with, like people who are built like a Chinaman with a long torso. How they set up differently versus like a dude who has like a 2-inch long torso.
There's something that hits really nicely the way you say that, Chase.
A Chinaman? Because they all have long torsos.
They have very long torsos. Maybe it's the fact that the railroad, the first continental
Hey, I mean,
railroad,
look, America was kind of built on them,
straight through Oklahoma.
I'm not dissing on them.
Yeah, there's something.
I like fried rice.
Have it in your blood.
Didn't Shane Gillis get cancelled for saying Chinaman?
No, he got canceled for doing a relatively protracted Chinese accent on the show, is what it was, and it was totally inane. It was not. It wasn't bad. I don't think. I would argue that he was totally in the clear.
Anyway, sorry to derail this.
Anyways, thanks.
You're all good, Chase. Don't worry about it.
Thanks.
I don't care. Fuck it. What is the Chinaman going to steal from me, huh?
Hey, man, he could go after Phoebe. That's what it could be. China is really, they're doing their best to kind of, mix their seed into Eastern Africa. That's not true at all.
I think they're
into Africa. Oh my God, they're a foreign investment into Africa right now. That's China.
Yeah, they're not there just to procreate. They're there to just take over and use all their resources.
I think it's the same thing, dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what you're doing with Phoebe as well. It's
using all of her resources. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And welcome back to the QAnon weekly podcast, weekly live stream.
Hey, hold on. This one is the Marxist libertarian one, actually. This is So we need to channel our Marxist vibes here, which is why we're pro CCP on this channel.
Is Marxist libertarian actually a thing? Is there someone out there who calls themselves that?
I think I'm very, because we have like anarcho-libertarian.
Those are two conflicting things, though.
Are anarcho-libertarians?
No, I'm talking about the Marxist libertarians.
Yes, that's why I put that on there. I'm curious if there are some dudes who can hold that position.
Well, Wikipedia says libertarian socialism, a broad scope of economic and political philosophies that draw on anti-authoritarian aspects of Marxism.
Correct.
Can be described as libertarian Marxism.
Okay, there we go, everybody. See, that's who this podcast is for now. It's for our Marxist libertarian friends.
Oh, those 5 people.
Yeah. If you're not a Marxist libertarian, please. I'm sorry, this is the wrong podcast for you. So the deadlift has a number of principles and assumptions. These are not the assumptions. These are just things to kind of remind us of them. Inclined shins and midfoot. The bar has to be over the midfoot. The bar is a proxy for the center of balance, right? Let's say it's like center of balance and center of mass. We want the center of mass, center of balance to be lined up. That lines up over the literal middle of the foot, so like the back of your heel to the front of your toe. That way, pressure can be pretty equal. That kind of needs to happen. At the bottom, so it's like the bar is on the ground, hands on the bar. The shins have to be some amount of inclined, right? The inclination of the shins is determined by the space between the shin while standing vertical and the distance to the bar. right? So if the bar is over the middle of the foot, I can get the shins forward. How many degrees forward would you say that normally is, Chase? It's like under 10, realistically, right?
Yeah, it is. And it also kind of depends on the people's anthropometry. So, like, if you have a
Yeah.
guy who's like short femored and long shin, he's going to have a little bit more angle than
hmm
the other correspondent. So,
Yeah.
that I'm going to say, yeah, it lives within like maybe like the most extreme is like 12, maybe 15.
Lowest is like 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
Yeah. So we have to have inclined shins at the bottom, and the bar has to stay over midfoot. The trap bar, the hex bar, it solves this issue, right? So the trap bar, hex bar, it shifts, it wraps the bar around that space so you can incline the shins as much as you want to.
Mhm.
This does not mean that the shins will stay there as the bar is leaving the ground, and we'll talk more about that later. When we're going to say something is correct, we're meaning it's more mechanically efficient. So the
Mhm.
bar over the midfoot, when we say that's correct, it's because it's more efficient. So that's just kind of a general thing with the conversation. This lat and armpit angle one, Chase, can you explain that? Kind of like what are we talking about when we say like the lat needs to be at a preferable position, the angle between the torso and the arm, things like that.
Yep. So as we are setting up for the deadlift in the correct position at the start, what we typically see is like the arms aren't hanging plumb or vertical, right? So figure 1 here, that's the correct position. And then the other two are just either a low position or a high position. In either of
Mhm.
those, the arms, they're trying to be as plumb as possible, right? But we can see that due to that, the hip position has now changed. So with the first one, the arms are not going to be plumb. They're going to be slightly at an angle. And then this angle is caused by the lats. So the lats originate kind of like at the it's like the sacral lumbar fascia area.
Yeah,
So kind of like
lumbosacral fascia.
yeah,
It's this
exactly. So
long origin.
and then
Yeah.
inserts in the anterior part of the humerus. So it actually wraps around kind of like a hook almost on the front part of your humerus. So it's pulling back, right? And the best way that it can pull and use all of its essentially power in the lats is at 90 degrees. Think of it like this: like if we were turning a wrench, right? The best way to turn a wrench would be at 90 degrees, not at a different angle, either more or less than 90 degrees. And we can kind of see that again on the other two. So in the second position, we have the lats in a
60?
position. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
65 or something like
Yeah.
that. So it's at a position to where it's not pulling at its most effective position. Now, we can set our back a little bit more efficient in this position, but it's going to have to assume like figure number 1 to pull and use the lats the most effective. And then same thing with number 3 is that it's getting close to the 90 degrees, but again, since it's being off a little bit, this is going to be a little bit harder to hold. And we can visualize this. If figure 3 were to deadlift this, the bar would kind of swing off the legs because of how much strain, or not strain rather, but just how much force is being exerted on the lats to overcome that angle.
Yeah. So like when it's more relatively open, it's going to tend to fall away from you.
Mm-hmm.
When it's more closed, you'll just kind of end up in position number 1. The reason being for this, it's like so the line of pull or angle of pull on the humerus is most flattering for the lat at 90 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And the correct deadlift setup puts you right exactly at that spot. And when we're saying correct, we mean more efficient in terms of pulling mechanics. We'll come back to this issue more. But thank you for Chase for that explanation of what this kind of thing is. The hamstring length tension relationship. We're going to pop back to that one here. Okay. Hamstrings wrap around to the front of the shin. There's a bunch of them. There's, somewhere between 1 and 10 hamstrings in the back of your leg. All of them start back here. So it's like we kind of see his butt bone, right? So it's like here's the end of the tailbone. There's his butt bone. If you kind of reach under, if you hook under your thigh, that's where you'll see this is the origin of the hamstrings. They insert down here. When we say length tension relationship, some things are better at being tight at certain lengths. Okay. So most people, for example, I'll pop back to this one. Most people have really weak hands when they're like open. So like this, we cannot exert a lot of force, right? The length tension relationship between all these pulleys in my hand and my forearm, not really that good. When I close my hand here, I can hold so much more weight. right? Because it's just a better mechanical length tension relationship within the muscle. And this is also trained, right? So most things you'll get stronger when you're training them at specific lengths. In the case of the hamstrings for this one, okay, when we do this in number 2, we're slacking the hamstrings, right? Okay, so one of our primary hip extensors is now almost out of the game. We still have the glutes in here, we have the quads in here, the hamstrings, we're doing something, but just not that much. Okay. In the third image over there, the hamstrings are going to be relatively much longer, the glutes also much longer. Okay, so then we kind of have to think, are you the most strong or able to produce force at maximum stretch, or at kind of a slightly stretched position where you still feel a little bit powerful? If you've ever done like a curl, for example, if you completely stretch the shit out of your bicep and you extend your arm with your triceps, it's kind of really hard to get it going again, right? Because the biceps is such a disadvantageous position. If you just back it up just a little bit and you carry a slight portion of an arm angle, hold on. So it's like if I go all the way straight, it's kind of really hard to use a bicep. If I end my curl here, and using the bicep now becomes much easier. If I go all the way straight and lengthen it out, that length tension relationship, the mechanics, it's just not very favorable. Pull the forearm up, it's much harder. That's why most people will cut almost all of their range of motion work off like there. Okay? And the same thing is going to apply for the deadlift. We're kind of fucking over the hamstring in positions 2 and 3. The glutes can still do their thing, but I would argue likely to diminished effect. Number 1, it is again that sweet spot. This diagram is primarily for the lats, which is why it has them and their kind of angle in relationship to the arm. But this same phenomena exists with the hamstrings as well. Anything else to touch on with the hamstrings, Chase?
No, I mean, it kind of just, again, to even go back even further, like, so this skeleton here is a system of levers. To best use these levers, we're going to try to arrange everything almost sort of like 90 degrees, right? Now, we can't do that with every single joint, but we can get pretty damn close. And if we kind of look at it like where the femurs and the knee is, so like the knee angle, at figure number 1, it almost looks like 90 degrees. But figure 2, it's, let's say, almost at 90 degrees, but see how that changes the effect of the lats. So again, we're affecting all these angles so that the muscles can operate and pull them a little bit more effectively.
Yes, if anyone's ever looked at any of Joel Seedman's content, which is hysterical, he understands this concept at like a very sophomoric level and is just kind of running home.
Dude, not even that. It's like fucking amoeba, like primordial ooze shit.
Yeah, so he does everything at 90 degrees, but without realizing that some things are not at 90 degrees, so he'll be like, all right, I have to, my pressing has to start here, it's at 90 degrees, but like then he'll also not have, the shoulder to the arm be at 90 degrees. It'll be at various places. Yeah. He's this weird, like the human body can only exert force at this because he has like a loose understanding of the moment arm principle, and it's just not great. Sinclair, question from Sinclair. He said, I find it very difficult to hit position 1 and tend towards 3, and I don't know how to find my way into the right position. What pops out to you, Chase, with this question?
He may be 1, either too close, 2, he has to be wasting a lot of time being down there, so he's just going to get his ass up to kind of help alleviate all that strain. But I'm going to probably tend towards just him setting up a little bit too close.
Okay, and then that goes back to, where did we have this here? Yeah, so shins, midfoot, setup distance, things like that. Yeah, and we'll talk about this. Sinclair, if you send a video over to support@strength.club, we can maybe take a look at that one. I don't know if have we seen Sinclair's work before, Chase?
I want to say that we have.
Have we? I don't know if I could place that.
You're way better at memorizing people.
Yeah, let me know, Sinclair. Yeah, send something in.
Is he in your contacts list, Alex?
Yeah, just a loose phone number.
He's been a client.
He's never sent any.
Okay, yeah. Pop a video over. Oh, he's been to the seminar. Did you meet Chase when you were there? The angry little guy at the seminar couldn't help you. That doesn't narrow it down.
Who's he talking about?
He's probably talking about Brent Carter.
Yeah, that's who I thought as well.
Okay, but Chase fixed my squat. Here we go, everybody.
Sweet, awesome.
Nice.
Glad I could fix your squat.
Yes, he was awesome. And we're going to leave Chase up on the big screen now for the rest of the show. Sick. Okay, not ribs. Yeah, so that was Brent Carter, confirmed. Okay, yeah, Brent, he can coach a good deadlift. I think his hips may be a tad high whenever I see some of his deadlift setups kind of go through. Yeah, send in some videos, Sinclair, and we will be able to help you, just like we did at the seminar. Man, Chase, a true frontline hero. A first responder to squatting. All right. Anything else? We got the mid. Okay, so the midfoot being self-correcting, like the bar wanting to go over midfoot. How would you explain that, Chase?
Let's take into example of like people pulling really heavy deadlifts. So we can all do this with like, let's say like a 5-pound weight or like the empty bar whenever we're warming up, and we're strong. We can make it move however we want to, right? Because the two masses, my mass, the lifter's mass, and then the barbell's mass or the dumbbell, whatever you're using, I outweigh it until it goes over my body weight. And even then, like if I'm real strong, I can lift over, like let's say I weigh 250 and I'm messing around with like a 300-pound deadlift. I can still kind of make it move however I want to. But whenever we're hitting up into like the 1-rep max categories or a really heavy set of 5, we have to now balance the barbell's load or mass over the center of balance because it weighs more. And this is very true for like the squat and then the deadlift. So as we kind of see is like if someone kind of pushes it out in front or doesn't have a vertical bar path, they do these little kind of squiggly curves to kind of get it back into the balance point, which is over the midfoot. If it's really far forward or if it's too far away or behind the midfoot, usually someone will fall or stagger with their stance. I've seen people kind of like take a step back sometimes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which it freaks you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Or and they get it so far away that they're if we go back to like those charts, like you look like number 3 almost, where like the arms swing way out in front of you, and you tend to just drop the bar at that point because now there's so much leverage worked against you because it's not balanced that it's just pulling you out of position, and it's way harder to keep the bar over the middle of the foot.
Yeah, there's cases for forward midfoot and then behind the midfoot if they're pulling to the rear. Imagine if you looked at number 3 and you like grabbed him at the ankle. His ankle stayed kind of where it was. His foot and ankle stayed still, but the rest of him tilted forward, right? Yep. The bar would now be forward of midfoot, and his hips are still too high, his shoulder is still too open. All of those things still, kind of exist, but now he's more forward of midfoot. That's terrible. The mass is going to correct itself, kind of like, if a weight is swinging on a line, it'll slowly go back to plumb once momentum is out of it. That kind of happens here too. If someone's whole body is forward midfoot, they're going to instinctive self-preservation. They're going to push off the toes. They're going to try to return to midfoot. If something is behind midfoot, it will tend to self-correct, but it won't self-correct as in front of midfoot. But yeah, generally you can say it's fairly self-correcting. It doesn't mean that you'll finish the pull though, So like the difference is it's like the bar is going to try to get back to the middle of your foot no matter what. That does not mean it will help you get the rep.
I would say like there's probably less room for catastrophe. And what I mean by that is like with the incorrect hip height, with the shins, all that stuff not being in the correct position, that stuff can still be done. It's going to look terrible, and you're going to fight, and your back may lose its extension. The bar may swing out in front of you, but like if you're not balanced, this bar will not go up. So it's like you have kind of saved some time and effort and maybe potentially injury before this is even done because it's not balanced.
Yeah, and I would say the big thing I think with people tweaking their back on the deadlift, outside of like egregious programming error, it's they'll set up in a shitty position, and the weight is now kind of magnified by that shitty position, right? So it's like if they were doing the shitty position with 135, they would be fine. But the issue is they're trying to do their work set, and then they move it an inch in front of midfoot, and it now like the if we were to like amplify that by the moment arm off of midfoot, the weight now feels much heavier to that whole system. Who's squeaking?
So Phoebe let my dog in because she was whining.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I'm locked in here with the dogs.
Oh yeah, Mick, I got to send you some photos of my dog.
You do.
Yeah, I got to
ask him for a while now.
We got him December 28th.
Oh, it's still a pup.
He is 6 months old now. A little bit over 6 months.
Has he been a kid yet?
No, he has not.
Oh man,
We're gonna take him to a nice national park with like waterfalls and let him run around and everything.
hell yeah!
That's gonna be his. We're gonna give him on a big hiking trip, and then that's gonna be a weekend. And on Monday when he gets back, cutting his balls off.
Oh,
We're not going to do it. A doctor's going to do it.
Are you gonna supplement testosterone for the dog to, you know?
No, sadly no. Oh yeah, Chase number 2. Chase Johnson has a good question here. We will, Chase, when we're going through some of the video examples of what to do here, we'll talk about eye gaze. So hang on for that one. So everything is connected to everything. It's kind of a loop, right? So the bar is connected to the floor. We're connected to the bar. We go all the way up and down the body. We're connected to the floor again. When we're thinking about hip height, Chase, what would you say if you kind of had to triage, what's the most influential? Is it kind of like setup distance? Is it how inclined the shins are? Is it, is it arm width on the grip width on the bar? Like what's influential, do you think here?
Probably the most influential would be the distance to the bar.
Okay.
So I can still, like, for example, like on a snatch, whenever we saw my snatch, my hips are almost in the same position I'm almost deadlifting. Now, what changed was the angle of my arms. So I artificially shortened my arms to try to reduce the range of motion in my lift, but that didn't really have too much of an effect on my hip height. Versus if I were to, I think like at one point, like CrossFit wanted people to align the bar over their toes or some shit.
Yes,
like
they unironically said put it over like your toenail, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Your big toenail.
That has a huge catastrophic change to the body at that point. So think about it, like if we all were just like to put this in over your toenails and then try to make your shins touch the bar at that point, your shins are now bending to like at least almost 30, maybe 25 degrees, somewhere around there.
It's like almost to the limit of dorsiflexion.
Yeah.
Basically.
The point where like you're almost falling forward, or you're keeping all of your balance over the balls of the feet, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, because it's a misinterpretation of like Olympic lifting, because you just kind of watch Olympic lifting and you're like, oh, that bar looks a little forward. And I would say the second thing is, they're so used to very light thrusters for volume, very light cleans, light bulk volume work where you can get away with that. But then what happens is that as it gets heavier and heavier over time, like Chase said earlier, the tolerance for error decreases dramatically. So it's helpful to think about it this way, right? So it's like we have the shin to bar, this distance, right? It influences basically everything, okay? Because we know the shins have to touch the bar, right? We know our ankles. Okay, Benny B. What did Benny B say? He said, deadlift pet peeve, deadlifting in a public setting and being told you're slamming the weights out too loud. Yes. Yeah, this is a rough one.
I mean, it means, you're doing something right if you're making enough noise. I mean, unless you're dropping the bar or something, but I can't imagine.
I have one client right now who's on a work trip in California, and he's tried 3 gyms. And they'll all tell him, they're like, you need to lower the deadlift slowly. And he's only deadlifting like 275. He's deadlifting it here. He's lowering it totally normally. It's crazy. But they're like, no, you need to they want every deadlift to be lowered like a soft RDL, and they're like, it's too loud. And you're like, what are you talking about? This is insane. But that's California for you.
Yeah.
Back to this. So the shins to the bar, right? So it's like we have the knee above it, the ankle below it. Okay. The distance to the shin to the bar is going to impact the knee position, right? And then we work our way up to the chain. The knee position impacts the hip position. The hip position impacts the shoulder position. Now the shoulders are going down and they're connecting to the bar, right? So it's like the first thing we do, the setup distance impacts everything in the chain. Sinclair, he said, all of his recent vids are done in his underwear. Not going to put that shit out there. I'll record.
I bet he's not dropping it slowly.
He's not dropping it slowly. He's dropping it fast. If it's cold out, we'll be very forgiving.
Just blow your face.
Yeah.
I mean, we're about to show a lot of my butt crack in the next 15 minutes. So
yeah. Sinclair, if it's just cold outside, it's winter, man. Nobody's expecting much. from the
I mean, if
Marxist
he's
libertarian.
deadlifting in his undies, I'm assuming he's probably in the summer, unless he's some Finnish freak or something.
He could be. He could be a Northern European, the worst.
Mm.
But yeah, so all of these things impact all of these things. So it's like, even for example, like the grip on the bar, like Chase was saying, if it's wide, the hip height's going to be changed because the arms are artificially shorter. Like in the garage is something to get dressed. Do you just walk around your house naked all the time? What a power move. Anytime it's after 9 p.m., I put a tuxedo on at home. That's generally what happens. All right, we're going to watch some deadlifting videos, and then we will be able to see examples as to what we're talking about. Mick, we're going to do yours a little bit later on.
Do me, Alex.
In my undies. Okay. Pause, share. Here we go. So this is one of my clients. He's a climber. He's pulling 425. The hips are way too low here. The neck is cranked up. So Chase, this kind of goes into your comment. He hasn't deadlifted in a while from his last rock climbing competition. So he's taken out deadlifts again, and he has to we have to relearn things. So this is a really good teaching example as to fucking up a deadlift.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah. Mick, did you go ooh?
Oh, that was me that went ooh.
Yeah, if Mick does that, it
That's
has
real
to be
fucked up. That's real fucked up.
Yeah, it's good. We know it's got to be.
If I know it's bad, it's definitely bad.
Okay.
Or it could
All
be
right.
completely right.
All right, Chase. So what do you think? So we're seeing our boy deadlifting here, and what's going on with it?
Yeah, so let's just look at the ends of the barbell. You notice as like it's breaking off the floor. Actually, before breaking off the floor, it shoots way back to the left, right, or towards his midfoot, and then the plates break off the floor. So, kind of go back to what Alex was saying earlier about efficiency. If we were to ask your client when he would start the pull, and we were to play this in slow motion, as soon as the plates start moving, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm starting the pull." Well,
Yeah.
in
So
reality,
everybody, look right here. Okay. So focus on the end cap of the barbell real quick, and then think about what Chase said.
So he's going to think, I'm pulling, and then now. So work done against gravity, which is essentially operating in a vertical line away from the earth, right? That is essentially what we're looking for. That's where effort and all of your work is actually being put into the usefulness in the deadlift. So if he's making the bar move horizontally, but not vertically, he is wasting effort and energy trying to perform this lift.
Yeah. So it's like he got this off the ground as it was coming back, right?
Yeah.
So 425 felt heavy to him. It felt hard, but if it just starts at midfoot, he can probably do 445.
Do another rep. Yeah.
Exactly. He could squeeze out another rep or two. And I'll play this just one more time, right? So Sinclair said, he was like, that's diagram position 2. That is 100% correct. Hips too low. And then Chase Johnson, to go back to your comment, he's looking up way too much. This has kind of been a habitual problem with him as well, is cranking the head up. So when the head comes up, what does that normally do to hip height, Chase?
It usually drops it.
Exactly. So then we end up in a position to popular in Olympic weightlifting when we're pulling submaximal loads for speed, not good for heavy deadlifting.
Yeah.
And then we're watching the end of the barbell, and we're going to see what happens when he tries to launch. Boop. It swings backwards. And now, how is this position, Chase?
So now he's assuming the first position because he has to. So now we see that the bar is roughly over the midfoot or getting there now. His hips are in the correct position. The lats are at more of a 90-degree angle to where it can use all of its effectiveness to pull and keep the arms in their position and the bar on the legs. So now the system right now is exerting a lot of force, but in a good manner. And now the bar is doing work against gravity.
Yeah, we're in balance here. Yeah, and then it goes up pretty quickly. So that was one of his deadlift sets. He did another set that day, and this one has a slightly different angle. So hopefully this second video angle will be helpful. I think he did a 3x3 this day with this weights. Okay, so same load, same lifter, same day, same tank top, and then we'll just kind of see what a different set looked like.
Same guy with the gray hoodie in the background.
Exactly. Yeah, same gray hoodie guy. How are these looking, Chase, as compared to the first set?
These are already looking much better.
Okay, yeah. So that ooh, what a grinder. So this was the last set. So this was the third set of the 3x3. The first one we looked at was the first set of 3. So he's correcting in real time. What's better about these ones and that we didn't see in the first set?
So if you can see, like there's no horizontal swing in the barbell, or there's less of it. Like there's a tiny bit of a curve, but not as drastic as it was the previous video. So now we can kind of see that the bar is now more over the midfoot, and his hips are starting in a more correct position there.
Everybody watch kind of this area, his shoulder girdle, his neck, and his head. This kind of goes back to what the other Chase Johnson was saying. I do not like seeing this snap into tension, right? So when we say we like to people squeeze the deadlift off the floor, get everything hips high, chest up tight, and there's no kind of snapping. What I've noticed is when people kind of have a loose upper body going into this, their head position will kind of get all wonky as soon as the pull starts. So yeah. Kind of look at where his chin went from. Down, up. I've been telling him, like, we need to rail your forehead down on the platform, like, the entire time. And as he gets tight, the head cranks up. So that's a net negative, Chase Johnson, for sure. Yeah, I think Fresh, if he had the energy from set 1 and just kind of did set 1 right, these would have been a lot better. But still solid 425. I think he weighs maybe like 155 right now, so not too shabby. All right, let's get some other deadlifts going on here. That's Aaron, Mike, MJ, Nathan. Oh, we're gonna mix it up with a squat here. We got Alex Girac sending in a squat. We'll see how these squats look.
Back in a sec, boys.
That's Mick's doorbell? Fuck, dude. It sounds like a prison alarm.
That's a very odd doorbell. That is correct.
That's very.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come down and meet you. 1 sec. Oh, yes, fine. Thanks, mate.
What did Mick order? Could you make that out, Chase?
Dude, I have no idea.
You have no idea what that was? All right, we're kicking Mick off, everybody. Chase is a big head now. All right, we're going back with Alex Girac here. Thoughts on these squats?
They're real deep and real loose.
Deep and loose. Okay. Is that good or bad?
It's bad, right? So, like, for example, like Girac here can kind of get away with it. He's a big, strong guy, but this is pretty light. And we can tell that by just how fast the bar is moving. But if this was like a top set of 5 to where he couldn't add another pound on it, it would not look this smooth. So like right there, like in that bottom position, his ass is damn near almost on the floor. He's slapping the back of his calves. Yeah, this is way too deep.
This may even be slightly high. I don't know if this is deep. Yeah. I think he just has a big projecting downwards butt.
Yeah, he could. Could just be all that muscle mass. The muscle.
Yeah, I think this is an odd one because he's going so far forward, right? His knees are so far forward that his calf and his hamstring are mushing together.
Well, that's true. Like his stance is pretty. Yeah, his stance is probably narrow enough too that he's probably not hitting depth.
Yeah, you got to widen these up, dude, for sure. Why do we want to squat a little bit wider? Is it kind of like more muscular use? Is it kind of depth? Is it a little bit of everything?
It's a little bit of everything. So with like the musculature, so if the wider we go, now we involve more adductors. And then 2, as the wider we go, we have more room for the torso and all of that junk to now fit in between our legs.
How much wider would you go for him? He looks pretty tall too.
Yeah, he does, man. He just looks like a big old guy.
Yeah.
Instead of, I would keep his toes where they're at, but then I would angle out his heels a lot.
Okay.
I think like he has the correct maybe toe angle, but just rotating his heels out more would probably solve this.
Yeah. You need more space for your torso. Like I'm starting to see his thigh and his thigh and belly are interacting well above depth, right?
Yeah.
Everything's mushing together. So like widen that shit out, like Chase was saying. Sit between your legs. Oh, here we go. We got Miguel Lifts. He said, couldn't sleep, send his deadlifts to the email. Mick, did you see those?
I'll check it now.
Come on, Jamie. Get your shit together. Anything. So the grip position. How do you feel when people take grips like this, where their elbows are basically just at the floor? How do you feel about these, Jace?
Man, I don't like it, but like with this guy, we have way bigger problems to solve than just
Right.
his grip.
Yeah.
So like I would be okay with this for like another 2 weeks as we're fixing, his back extension, fixing the correct depth, all that stuff. And then after a while, I want to see if we can't go one lower on his back into a more low bar position. If he couldn't do that, then we're just gonna go bunch in with the grip a little bit because I think he's too wide probably.
Gotcha. All right, that's it for Jirac here. We're gonna toss Miguel's deadlifts up. Let's find a place to put these. Boop. Can you guys see these?
Yep.
Is this Miguel?
Okay. Yeah, this is our boy Miguel here.
Migsy.
All right, we got 155 kilos for a set of 5.
This is a very nicely color coordinated gym.
I know.
It
makes it hard to pick things out.
Yeah.
Everything very
All
black.
I can see is a white t-shirt.
Yeah, I got a floating white t-shirt.
She's just barking and stuff.
I think the big thing here, Miguel, is going to be toe angle. Your feet are basically straight ahead, and I can see your knees popping in. Like here, you're getting a little bit, you're pulling behind the bar. Your lower back is rounding to kind of compensate for that. And then the knees are quivering as they're trying to find their position. Is this more? This is more after that. Okay, let's go back to this. Chase, what are you thinking about these?
Can you expand that?
Can I zoom in? Let's find out.
Zoom in on that, Jamie.
I'm just zooming in on the rest of.
Why don't you make us small and make him big?
All right, hold on a second. Hold on, team. Tech support coming through.
There we go.
How's this?
Awesome.
Oh, here we go. All right, we're starting over.
Like that setup right there, it looks good. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Like the toes right here probably seem pretty much straightforward. I want to see a little bit more of like a V type stance. So we're just gonna like angle it out with the toes more. And again, with that toe angle, now we're gonna involve the adductors into this, which is gonna help extend the hips a little bit. And then as we see going forward here, he's just kind of thinking about lifting this up with his back. I think he's not really thinking about the leg press here.
All right, let's go back. Boop, right here again. Ian. Are you Druada? We have one of those to get through from Druada. If that's you, Ian, let me know. Do you think his back is getting fully extended?
No, so if we kind of see it, play like the second rep again.
Yeah, so rep 1.
So what we'll see is like we need to see like knee extension, then hip extension. And what we kind of see is like there was some knee extension, but on the second one, not really as much. It's kind of a little bit more hip extension. Now that's fine whenever it's lighter, but now think again about all the load now being essentially lifted by the back. It's going to be hard to keep it in the extension at that point.
Yeah.
So the back is just the transmitter of force from the hips into the barbell. So don't worry about what the back is doing. Just think about keeping the same shape and not changing its angle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a rigid force transmitter. That's a really good way to think about it. Chase, alternate grips for reps. The mixed grip is totally fine. You can pull whatever you want with a mixed grip. The concerns about the mixed grip, I think are rather inflated. For some people, it's more comfortable than hook grip.
I think Miguel had a surgery where his hand was on backwards, so he has to do it.
It's always mixed grip. He mixed grips everything in his life.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, we got Gerada here, which could be Pied. It could be. It may not be. We'll find out. All right, we got a nice dashing young man. He's squatting what seems to be 135, 155, 165 on the bar. And these are American pounds and not kilos, everybody. All right, stretching.
Man, here we
He's
go.
getting into it. Pian, are you sure? Are you sure this isn't you?
This is him.
Pian.
Oh,
right.
come on, bro.
Come on, Pian. Just send it again. All right, so we'll see Pians after this, everybody. I'm digging the tall Converse though. That's a look.
Yeah, this retro look.
Yeah,
I used to rock those. When I
Oh,
was
I'm sure
lifting.
you did, man.
All black, like my soul.
All black everything.
Yeah.
Carrying a trombone to class.
Do you know what musical instruments are, Alex?
No. Carrying 2 French horns.
There's a jazz anime. I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
No, man.
It's a better
I'm
bunch.
only
the jazz
consuming
anime? Do they
Marxist
fight in it?
content. That's
I'm
it.
not sure. There's a lot of drama though, apparently.
Well, yeah, it's like every anime.
My relationship with anime over. I'm full on Marxism now. I think the various schools of Marx. That's my new thing. All right, we're going back to this.
You know, I thought
these are
going to be way
deep
worse
pause
than what they were.
squats.
Yeah,
we're looking at deep pause squats. First
Was
of all,
it
to
the
start.
stretching or the chucks? Which
no, I thought like all this
was it
shit,
the
like
Nautilus squat rack?
everything leading up to him unracking the bar. I thought this squat was going to be fucking atrocious, but it's actually it's not too bad. I mean, there's some stuff wrong with it, but definitely
it's
not.
It's kind of weird. They got Alico plates and a Nautilus squat rack.
That is interesting. Yes. Yeah. So Pian, this squat was better than expected, so you can't let us down now. To start, you can determine bar position by looking at this pretty accurately. So this is the AC joint right here. Okay, so part of the scapula is connecting to part of the clavicle. They're kissing right there. We know the scapula is related to this position. So when someone's bar is literally 3 inches south or behind that, I'm like, oh, he's putting the bar not even touching his scapula or entirely below it. So his bar position should be basically about where my cursor is, if you can see that. But if you can't see my cursor, there's the seam between his sleeve and the center of his shirt. It should be almost right there. So the bar is way deep for Gerardo right now. But he compensates for it well. He's leaning over sufficiently. The bar is just super deep. What would you? What else
likes everything deep.
He did. Yeah, he's just a deep guy.
He's very deep. So as we can see, like, yeah, his depth is pretty damn deep.
This is about where I squat to. All of my probably deeper than this, I would say.
So you're just like balls to the floor type stuff.
It's everything else feels so uncomfortable. This is the just ass to grass, leaning over, just fully stretching the bum hole out. That's the comfortable squat for me.
Yeah, like the two big things here, man. It's just the depth, right? So we actually want you to be a little bit higher, like probably 2 to maybe almost 3 inches higher. So that way you can kind of get a bounce out of the bottom. And that kind of leads into my other point is just like, why are you pausing? It may just because of like the balance issue there too, because like he kind of came up on the toes on the first rep. I think if you just kind of slow down a little bit, cut off the depth, you'll find the balance a little bit easier, because as you kind of just relax into the bottom, everything gets pushed forward. And then you're trying to re-correct that as you come back up.
Yeah, we have the depth there for a reason, where it should be. Miguel lifts. Should I give up on hook grip with small thumbs? Some days I get it. Other days I barely get 2 reps with it, even with lighter pulls. I'm of the opinion that you should never impose like an artificial limiter or rate limiter, bottleneck, whatever you want to call it, onto your lifting. If it is like even the slight, think about it with the rest of my life. If I have a thing that is of slight annoyance to me, I get rid of it immediately. Right? There's no reason for this to be in my life. It's annoying and complicated. I'm not going to deal with it. Unless it's really worth it. You have to make a very strong case for hook grip being magically superior to have it cause you to miss reps, like if you can do your reps mixed grip, just do a mixed grip, dude. Different opinion, Chase? Agree, disagree?
No, I agree. Like, unless you're trying to compete in the Olympics, in the Olympic sports and stuff like that, then I would highly suggest about maybe pulling hook grip with your deadlifts, but I think you're fine.
All right, we're going back. We're checking out peeing, everybody. Johnny G, I don't know how many more times we can go through this. Every time we talk to you, you're like, I've torn some part of my body off by doing intensity triples. All right. Oh, sick. Pian's name is Die Hard Playa. Diehard Playa here, everybody.
Damn.
All right, I'm going to try to zoom in on this. We'll see. Can you guys see this pretty good? Perfect.
Well, Pian, these are nice, man.
He has the Strength Co plates.
Yeah, these very, very nice.
By the way, big aspirations on this guy. He immediately got 4 plates. He was like, I'm going to shoot to 500 immediately.
Yeah, fuck it. That's what you
He's
do.
like, we need to get this going.
That 4th plate has not been off the rack.
It'll get there, man. It'll get
like
there.
my
buddy.
2nd plate on my rack.
I would like to see these like a millimeter deeper, just very, very slightly deeper. I would like to see a little bit more extension with the upper back, trying to squeeze your pecs up harder. How do you feel about this grip, Chase, where so much of the hand is floating off the barbell? Are you okay with this? Do you try to work that out if possible?
I mean, yeah, it seems like Pian, like, stop me if I'm wrong. If your shoulders are fucked up and stuff like that, and this is the most stable position you can achieve without being too painful, we're just gonna have to roll with it. But I want to see. I think the bar maybe just to be a little bit too low too.
Yeah.
See if we can't put that a little bit, or I'm sorry, too high. But put that bar a little bit lower, about like an inch or two, and then from there, I think you'll be able to kind of grip the bar a little bit easier with your fingers. But we'll see.
Yeah, you need to have, because you'll notice it. Like if you like Pian, when you're watching this, look at the Strength Co logos. You'll see them kind of rotate forward as the bar rolls up your back and pitches. When you can have more control of the bar with your fingers, you can fight against that and counteract it, and it's actually quite effective. I don't want to see these plates rolling for you at all. If you can have more of your hand in the bar, you can control it. So it's advantageous for you. I would like to see a little bit more hip drive. Yeah, buy once, cry once is correct. Anytime I buy something cheap and then the first time it fucks up on me, I'm like, I can't believe this. I've been betrayed. So you just gotta get nice stuff. Just don't buy things often. Do you think more hip drive, Chase, or are you fine with these hips?
Yeah, but I think like the reason why he's kind of fucking up his hip drive is just the bar placement.
Okay.
So if it's teeter-tottering around, and as he's driving up, it's rolling forward. He's going to combat that by raising up his chest to help kind of rebalance it. But
yeah,
getting to the right position, you're going to be able to drive your hips a little bit more effectively.
Yeah, very good call. And Pian will get there, everybody. Keep sending in videos, dude. We're excited for your Mars bar opinions. Thinking of getting for the wifey. Does anyone know what this is?
It's the bar that
It was a chocolate.
it looks like a giant like hook for straps on top. So like you literally like put it up here. The bar sits really fucking low, like almost in the mid back, and you squat down like that.
Okay, so it's a safety. It's a different safety bar.
Dude, you talking about safety? It's safety.
It's safe. Yeah, absolutely, Pian. Just keep
Actually,
sending
it's safe if it's hanging halfway down your back, or you're being sarcastic.
It's no, like it really does hang down low, but like it literally, it's like almost wearing a harness. The straps are that hooked, yeah, to where it's totally fine.
So this is
I've never used one.
Yeah, I've never used one either. Johnny, here's your priorities. Fix your goddamn programming. I don't know how often I need to say this. You should not be pulling shit. No one should be killing themselves. Nothing's gonna be crazy happening. Get that together. The Mars bar can come later. The barbell you have is likely more than sufficient. All right, so this is one of my. I bring this guy up. He's a client of mine. He's my tallest client. He is 6'6" or 6'7", and he is pulling what 455, 65, 75. He's pulling 480 here for a set of 5, and he's really tall. So the reason that we're tossing this in here,
boy.
he's a big boy. If you're 6'8", everything's crazy. Or 6'6", 6'7", excuse me. So I want to bring this up.
How do you know that everything is big, Alex?
Man, I this isn't my screening thing. This is for all my. If you want to be a client,
you in proportion. That's the real question.
Exactly. I need naked T-pose photos. Mike, do a spin for me. I need to make sure everything's there. And my wife loves him. She really appreciates him. But yeah, so he's very tall. People oftentimes will say they're too tall to deadlift or they're like too tall to squat. You really aren't. So we're using him as an example for hip height.
What about someone who's 7'6"?
I don't know. Just take a bunch of steroids.
Dude, look at fucking Half Thor too. Like the dude who has the fucking strongest deadlift on the planet is one of the tallest motherfuckers too.
Yeah, standard plates. Like, Chase. So his hip height, it seems to be it's a tad low. Back extension's a little bit rushed. How do you feel about if you're looking at like hip height? What do you want to say to this guy?
Freeze right there, like at the very start of it. Okay. He needs to raise it.
I'm gonna try to catch a pause here.
So like there.
Yep. So this looks like position number 2, if we remember our positions. Okay. And then everybody look kind of the intersection of the gray and the black here, and we're gonna check out what happens as he starts the launch. Okay. Boop. It pops up to get it moving. Chase Johnson, do you know if it's like meaningfully different than a normal safety bar? Like, what advantages would the Mars bar have over just a safety bar? Because this seems like a unique thing. Yeah. So even if you guys are tall, by the way, so this basically like for a normal human, this is like a good height for a deadlift. For someone who's like 6'6", 6'7", it feels like a deficit deadlift for us. He can still, deal with these hip issues. He can still even put his hips too low. But okay, let's see what else we got going on. Johnny G, he said, I've been programming lately, doing 3x5s and progressing all 3 lifts, doing 1 on, 2 off instead of every other day, but then injured my hamstring. Let you bend over more on the squat. Okay. Is it adjustable like a kabuki bar, or is it completely fixed?
I think it's fixed.
Okay. Then I would honestly just say kabuki bar, if you can get your hands on the kabuki transformer bar. Because that one, you can set it up to be like a really far front squat, or really far, kind of a hingey, like feel weight on your hip squat. It's fixed. Okay. All right. Mick, do you want to go through your squats?
Do it.
We're doing it, boys. Everybody.
Should we have a not safe for work warning before these go up?
Everybody, you're gonna see Hank Hill ass. You're gonna see dog butt.
That's just where my ass is, man, and the t-shirt just rides up a bit. So
your pants should be up all the way up here. You got to start doing old guy pants. You got to start doing 19.
Let us like around my belly button, and that's also super uncomfortable.
You got to get women's high-rise jeans.
Can you recommend me a pair, Alex?
I cannot, sadly. I'll ask Anastasia and see what she says.
How about the sunset though? What about that sunset?
Dude, this is beautiful. Yeah, I was going to comment on that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
If you ever get a girl up there, have her see the sunset. Yeah, you can play that.
As opposed to the moonshot that
Yeah, 1 to 2.
How high up is its balcony, Mick? Are you like on the 3rd floor or something like that?
What floor you on?
No, man, I'm like up 20.
Ooh, 20 floors. Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Do you ever like spit off your balcony or pee off of it?
Nah.
I've done that.
Who was the lucky
He's
person?
On this. Chase, are you on the 2nd floor? What floor are you on, Chase?
No, I'm on the 1st floor now, but like I've been in several apartments, and luckily I've been on the 2nd. Yeah, and I've peed off.
Nice. Okay. There's just a small family playing below him, being like, "What the hell is going on?"
It's raining. It's raining, Mom.
No. All right. How do we? So these squats look like warm-up squats. Chase, any comments on mixed warm-up?
They're definitely fast, but technically wise, man. So Mick, look at your knees as you're coming up. So as we're going down, the hips and knees are breaking simultaneously. Great. Now on the way up, they need to be straightening simultaneously too, right? Kind of like an accordion. You're just kind of going down and up, but you just fling your knees back and your ass shoots way back and you lean over a lot.
So hip drive going backwards too much.
Yes, but it's caused by his knees.
Okay.
So what I would tell Mick is think about driving through your quads or fixing the knee position as you come up. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Yep. Something like that.
Okay. Anchor the knees over the toes, ass to the ceiling. All right.
Exactly.
Now let's look at set 2. The sun has gone away. Mick has been squatting for at least 2 hours.
I swear I only took about a 4-minute break in between these sets.
Okay, Mick has not figured out where his shirt or pants go yet. I'd say the stance may be a little bit narrow too. Yeah. Stance is a tad narrow. Pacing is a little bit awkward. I like how you're bracing, though. You seem very bouncy in your brace. It's like, oh, everything up and down. Yeah, these look like, what do we got? These are just kind of technique warm-up-y sets with 60?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Because I've just been having heaps of problems with my hip for just months now.
What happened to you taking walks outside?
Yeah, no, I've been doing that, but I mean, after every squat session, the next day my hip is just sore for.
Well, think about it, Mick. So go back to like his first video, Alex.
All right, hold on, everybody.
We're gonna fucking Sherlock Holmes this shit.
We're gonna say, what is wrong with Mick's hip?
Fix this motherfucker.
Have you tried rubbing your testosterone into your hip capsule?
It's in the same area, nearly.
All right, hold on, that's the wrong one.
Well, like we saw, like on the first one, like how bad your hips are shooting back, right? So think about it. Well, where at in your hips is it the actual joint? Is it like your hamstrings? Some shit like that.
It's the hip joint, and then also I've been just getting like a strain in my glute, like my left glute.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Well,
I mean, you're not using much knee extension to move the bar.
Yeah, so like you're just putting all this moment back onto the hips that's now unnecessary, right? So like going down is the correct amount of moment because your back angle doesn't change. Now it's changing as you come up, and you're just throwing that ass back way too much, man.
Dude, you're throwing that ass back.
So that's probably causing the issue with your hips, man. So if you stay more in your quads, and kind of keep the chest up more as you're coming up.
Well, so that's what I did in that. Yeah, that's what I did in that second set.
Second set was better than the first set for sure.
Yeah.
What
you're just have to exaggerate it.
Yeah,
man.
what have you tried? What programming interventions have you tried, Nicholas?
I mean, nothing, because this problem just is.
You got me good.
Yeah. So for this, I mean, I basically, I've dropped the weight right back, just to try and sort out, what the hell's going on.
Right.
So that's pretty much where I'm at now. This was, only a couple of days ago. But I mean, so when I did one set, which was the first set, which, was the good morning squats. And obviously I looked at the video, I was like, okay, I can see what's going on. Then the second set was, okay, I'm going to try and keep my chest up more to stop that, those hips sliding back.
Right.
And the third set was the same. And then the next day I felt, there was none of that sort of hip issue.
Yeah, I mean, like you need to put your troubleshooting brain on. Like this is tech troubleshooting. So it's like, think about it. It's like, all right, is depth the irritant? Is the moment on the hip irritant? Is the range of motion irritant? Is it the tempo that's the irritant? Is it the movement selection itself that's the irritant? Like if you tried like box front squats and then you can do those to a high intensity, same volume target, and the next day you're like, oh, I have absolutely no hip pain. And you're like, okay, what's the difference? It could be the torso angle. It could be the depth. And you're like, all right, I'll try low bar box squats. Did I have the same hip response? You're like, no, it's probably the depth then. So it's like, all right, I need to cut depth off a little bit. It's like all of these, like, you need to go through the troubleshooting workflow to figure out what exactly is the issue. So like programming. So like, here's what Johnny G said. Here's what Johnny G said, everybody. So we can just kind of go through this. He's doing an LP of 3x5s, and then his glute was sore, so he was not fully recovered because all he's doing is just increasing the weight flatly every time, and then tried to increase it again and tore his hamstring. Right. So it's like troubleshooting your programming. This is just kind of what needs to happen. And frankly, with most things, I mean, like the deadlift could be more of an irritant because it's like the hip area could already be fatigued from deadlifts if you're deadlifting, and then you're going back to that well again for squats, Well,
so actually I did that with these sets. I actually didn't deadlift after because I wanted to see if I recovered okay with.
And how did that go?
Yeah, that was fine. So the next day I was completely fine, and yeah.
Okay, so then the conclusion may be that the hips volume tolerance may be 6 to 8 sets, and when you're doing 9 to 10 sets between squats and deadlifts, it's too much.
Well, so then a couple of days after this, I did the squats, increased the weight a little bit, and then did deadlifts after, and again I felt fine the next day.
How was it? Similar volume targets?
Yeah, similar to this. Yeah.
Okay, so then you have to consider, it's like, what was your fatigue state going into that? Like, so with that workout, if you were not fatigued at all and you were 100% fresh and did it and you felt fine afterwards, great, you're working within your fatigue budget. In another workout, in a series of workouts, you may be already spending a little bit on your fatigue budget, and then you dig a little bit too much.
I was fatigued. Like my lower back was fatigued when I did that second workout, because I'd sort of, not from the previous workout. It was actually because I'd been on a boat for about 5 hours and it just fucked around my back a bit.
What were you doing on a boat, Mick?
Fishing. What else do you do on a boat?
What? Chase, have you ever gone fishing before?
Yes, but not really.
Is it fun? I've never gone fishing before.
That's for sure.
You never fished?
No, I've never fished before.
Dude, fishing is fun. Like it depends on like if you're actively like casting and stuff like that. If you're just like throwing a line out there with like a bobber and just fucking waiting and drinking, no, that's boring.
So Mick, you were just drinking on a boat?
No, my dad's got a boat, so we're out fishing in the ocean and chucking a line in.
That's awesome.
But, it's a bit rough, and 40 minutes of the boat smacking into waves on the way back kind of set you back. So
nice. And he just keeps asking you if you're going to have grandkids.
That was given up a long time ago.
Oh man. Okay. All right. We got two questions here. G-Lock. I'm sorry, man. I don't schedule these far enough in advance. That's entirely my fault. All right. Question. I can only lift Monday through Wednesday, sometimes Friday. Any recommendations for programming? What do you think, Chase?
Just if you're on like a normal 3 day a week, that's fine with a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If you need to put like the majority of like the important shit like on Monday and Wednesday and kind of have like your light day on Friday, I would do it like that with a 3 day a week type thing. If you're doing a 4 day split, I think you're totally fine with how you're doing it right now with just like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, because Monday, let's say it's like all upper body. Tuesday, it's going to be the lower body. You can hit Wednesday again with the upper body. And then if you can sneak in Friday, hey, you got your lower body again.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly a good idea for sure. Because you got to think about how guaranteed that Friday is. Like if it's like a 10% chance, you want to program as if Friday doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah. If Friday is like 90% chance, then it's kind of more up in the air. You basically just got to make the best use out of every minute. Make sure you're doing not flat sets across. Like give yourself some room for auto regulation, right? Because like let's say if you do full body and then, or let's say if you like, let's say Chase's model, like upper, lower, upper, you may not train again until the next Monday, right? So if you lowball your volume or your workloads, you'll be kicking yourself in the ass because like you're like, oh, I'm not sore. I don't fucking, like, did I do enough? I'm now not training for basically 5-6 days. So make sure you're giving yourself an opportunity to do a lot of work. You're just trying to jam a ton of work in there. Yeah, upper, lower, upper is pretty good. You're still getting 2 upper frequencies in a week. I would say a lot of deadlifts, or a lot of squats, deadlifts, accessories. Johnny G, should I have waited for my glute soreness to stop before resuming lifting? No, you should understand that not every time you lift weights, you are putting more weight on the bar. So what, like Chase, he's the big head here. Chase said he tried 140 almost a year ago into his weightlifting journey, right? Right. That was the first time he tried it. He just got 140 now. Okay, so every time you lift weights, you're not going to see an increase in weight on the bar. So like if the programming is flat and you're like, all right, I added rest. How much rest can I add? What if you add 5 days of rest? Will you magically be stronger? No. The programming needs to kind of ebb and flow, just like you ebb and flow as a biological organism. Anything to add there, Chase?
No, and this is such a highly specific instance about like, is this soreness really debilitating? Was it enough to be like, hey, this really isn't that bad? I don't know. This is just pain tolerance at that point. And then I would have probably done the same thing. I probably would have still gone into the lift and done what I was supposed to do. And, you just got fucked up, and I agree. It's probably just from all the programming changings that you're experiencing that's causing all this fucked up shit to happen to you.
Yeah, it's just fucked up shit. Sorry,
So
John.
I have this glute issue,
Okay.
so many times over the last few years, and the only thing that ever helps recover it quickly is just empty bar, lots of reps. The old star rehab thing. Just that's the only thing. If I leave it and do nothing, it just persists for days and days. So as soon as you can do that,
just keep moving it around. Something snapped. I mean, you should generally be able to tell. Start kind of thinking about how these things are feeling more, because it was not a freak accident. Nothing is ever a freak accident unless like a car hits you in the garage, and like hits you while you're squatting. Then that's a freak accident. But otherwise, there's going to be predictive factors. That's it. What do you guys want to talk about next week?
All these train derailments and what it's meaning.
You said trans derailments. I was going to go, nah, that will be
no.
So that will be
in the United States, man. In the United States, we're having all these mysterious train derailments.
History of train derailments in the United States.
Yeah, history of trains with Chase and Alex.
Very awesome.
Yeah, train history.
I had something on that day, to be honest.
Train history with Chase.
Yeah.
Okay, so if this last one was for Marxist libertarians, what are we going to do for train enthusiasts next time? What should be next time?
Yeah, we can do
all
that.
right, so next time we'll be
locomotive enthusiasts.
For locomotive enthusiasts. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Thanks for